Alright guys, I love John Stossel's content. Now, I'm not too big of a fan of capitalism. I just want like resources to survive and stuff. But there's something definitely magical behind this stupid concept of money in general. Monetization, bro. And incentives, and a lot of things can be established in this ISM system. Right? There's basically 4 types of isms, and capitalism happens to be here. But there's the socialism and communism. And then there is the fucking governism, bro. The authorities. So there's all sorts of isms, bro. And capitalism just happens to be 1 out of 4, and if you master 1 out of 4, you can't just like be absolutely certain that everything works exactly as you want. You can't build utopia out of any of these. You have to master all of the elements, my friends. But hey, that's one way to do it, is watch his content, is master capitalism. So I'm not exactly sure what this video is about. I just give exclusive ability for John to get ahead of everyone, because everyone needs points to survive, and he needs to have 120 by the end, by the 21st day. All right, 21st. So he has like 2 days to get there, or he gets eliminated. So he has an exclusive video where he's probably gonna crank up like 200, 300 points, gonna make him a little bit safer. But no one is gonna be safe, because I'll demand a lot. Anyways, this is a good place to start, right? In defense of capitalism, because this one thumbnail just kind of summarizes the whole idea. But he just keeps like reiterating the same thing over and over again. It gets a little bit fishy if we can learn anything else but the capitalism. What have I learned? I don't know. I need a recap, to be honest. Because you always forget things until you jump into the water. Then you're like, oh, I know how to swim, actually. I'm not a loser. The interviews are probably a little bit too boring for me now that I've checked them out. There was Snowden interview. Maybe I would recommend, but I don't know. This way you could start liking the interviews, but I personally don't have time for this. I like the smaller bites.
And they made...
Yeah, this is capitalism, guys. Are these people happy? Yeah, the factory workers, the work. And at some points, capitalism can get corrupted and demand you that this, like, money is everything in the world, and you have to earn money, and you have to go to work. Have to? People have resources. You can fucking share your resource, my friend, at some point. At some point, you gotta fucking shut the fuck up about me working hard. Unless I get to learn something. Unless I get to actually enjoy it to some extent. Like, to some extent, bro. Instead of feeling like miserable or enslaved out of all the things. So capitalism has some dark sides, I'm not gonna lie. And you can't just show this and make me fall in love with capitalism. It's not that easy, bro. Some people are NPCs, but who knows who comes first, a factory or an NPC, you know? That's a scary thought. Yeah, so work is important. Work is important to flex your powers, basically, to show off to other people how much skill you have. But you can't just be stuck in one place. It corrupts you, basically, very easily. So I'm kind of like attacking and tackling his capitalism ideology, because I have to. He's an old dude and he's respectable and all that shit, that he's making content. And I will definitely push him to see him hit 1 million subscribers. But we gotta be careful.
Because capitalism, unlike socialism, is voluntary.
We have to... voluntary, right? Well, everything requires consent. And by the way, the biggest socialism thing is about sex, bro. It's also voluntary. You can't just fucking come up with a fucking idea that socialism is gonna fucking stab you in the fucking face. Literally, socialism is also voluntary if you don't want to participate. Great, but it's gonna make people frown against you. Gonna make people unhappy if you know, just don't do anything at all. Don't do anything towards socialism at all. Right? Don't make people happy properly. You know, they're gonna frown upon you. They're not gonna be impressed, you know. So you have to take care of that part. But again, a capitalistic mindset is gonna corrupt your socialistic mindset, because you want your capitalistic mindset to be like with stars and ribbons, boys. So you just offend socialism and morph it into some bullshit ideology that, again, most people don't even understand what those words mean. But it's just socialism. Just people communicating with each other and trading with each other as fast as possible without capitalism like standing in the way. Like, you would think like capitalism makes money, right? But it's the most basic trade. The actual trading happens in socialism. The sex and the fucking money flow and all that shit. This is where socialism steps in to like redistribute things, but not equally. Not at all equally, and not at all by force. In fact, socialism exists at the top of the pyramid right now of the world. And if you haven't noticed that, joke's on you, my friends. Again, the hottest girl is going to get that top 1% of earnings and all that shit and attention, the hot girl. But if she fails to take use of that, she's still not going to be happy. There's still a lot of other moving parts she has to fulfill. Socialism is not going to make you happy. Just because you get attention doesn't mean you are going to be happy with that, or you're going to like the attention that you get. Unless you become a superstar, and then you know why you're getting attention, because you do a good job. You know, there's other pieces involved that you can be proud of, not just, you know, naturally attractive. It's tough to maintain as well. And even if you're attractive and you can extract value, I mean, that doesn't mean you're a good person. That you are actually impressive. You just know how to take advantage of capitalism, which is, again, what John Stossel doesn't like. And if you know the elements, you know the elements, all right? Might as well fucking steal that. For the communism, bro. I stole the ball. But these are the elements, bro.
Thank you.
Can you imagine, like, the system of elements that I've discovered? It just keeps reoccurring everywhere. And I've been able to establish the isms and actually understand them very well. To the point where John Stossel doesn't look like a genius that he once was. Praising one thing, basically. Again, this guy has to sit there outside and wait for customers. This is painful. All right? Very painful.
Say, thank you. Because he wanted the dollar more than he wanted the pretzel.
But he didn't want it to fucking stand around and wait for customers, did he? But there's even worse things behind this. You have to establish yourself. You have to, like, look at all these things, and they're cool to other people, but they're now disgusting to you because you're just selling them in masses. There's so much that capitalism kind of created that's like kind of cringe and has to be like reorganized. Because, but who are you gonna trust? You know, that's the big question of capitalism, is like, who do you employ and trust? How do you contain these people? How do you, you know, lock these people with your business, at least tie them so they don't do damage? They actually give you profit. That's the big question, the trust. But sure. You can be happy just taking one snapshot of capitalism and be like, oh, look, I have traded pretzel into $1. Wow, so cool, right?
Thank you.
By the way, these thanks are fake. They are fake, you know, because she doesn't fucking even own the business that she's working in. She's not going to get money out of the thank you. You wanted the thank you very much as a customer, so she delivered it to you. You know, whatever the customer wants, we have to try and deliver. We have to pretend that the customer is right. As long as they actually pay money, we have to treat them well, you know. But the thank yous are fake. You're not even supposed to talk to these people. NPCs are not supposed to be talked to and treated as human beings in a way. Unfortunately, unless you can actually do a good job at that, you know. Meaning that you can socialize with an NPC. You can leech off capitalism, which is crazy. It's a crazy deal to actually socialize, but you have to do a proper job instead of... Like, I go to a grocery store and I get triggered of all these people socializing with a fucking cashier. Like, and now I'm awkward one for not saying a thing. I'm not supposed to feel awkward. I'm just like, bam, bam. I've done my job, right? But everyone else just make me feel awkward because they found a cashier and they have to say a lot of stuff just leaking out all over the place. And this sometimes gets very disgusting. Like, I had some encounters with like really disgusting people because they start socializing in the most fucking awkward spot, you know, in front of me and make me feel nervous. But I'm glad that nothing's happening because, like, I don't want to be fucking banned from the store, from the local store. Like, that would be fucking disgusting as well. You can frown upon me, but like this, it's not your job to reject me like that for not saying a thing. So it creates a lot of weird stuff, like, and that's socialism, creating weird stuff. People just flapping around with NPCs, treating them as real human beings. That's painful. All right, you do your job. But what's even more painful is the capitalism locking people down and saying to them, well, you're just forever going to work here. You know, slowly turns into slavery because now people are dependent on money. You're not supposed to earn this much money to the amount of money where you're still stuck living paycheck to paycheck. You're supposed to retire or take long vacations, and you're supposed to have flexibility too. People should be able to replace you as well. There's a little bit of sketchy shit going on in the background that could get uncovered, but I don't know how. Also, just money in general being a social construct now, where if you're rich, then you're attractive, sort of, but not really. Like, it becomes really weird and confusing. Like, yes, you're going to be attractive to socialism to take advantage of your money. Like, you can go on dates now. You can talk to people. You can give them free things. You can turn your money into attraction very easily. But you have to give free things to random people that you sort of feel attracted to, all right? So you can't completely do randomness. Unless someone is upset, then, you know, you double check of like, yeah, maybe you do deserve something. But you just give to whoever you like, not completely random. Like, if you give completely random, then it's an advertisement, right? But if you make a choice, now you're kind of tinkering with society a little bit. It's very interesting stuff. So, yeah. If you want to be more attractive, and a lot of people are questioning this, like, you need free stuff. You need to give free stuff. And everyone knows that. I mean, government knows that. But government doesn't give free stuff. It takes from society and then gives to society and pretends that it's free. It's a now actual distribution. Like, government is an actual force of distribution that we don't even see. It's like invisible hands moving things around. Now, again, neither of these things are evil. They just work different ways. And so TikTok has sort of found this thing. I would like, if I personally wanted to test this, again, you have a camera, you strap a camera, and then you just walk around and see how people react to free stuff. Are they just like monkeys? They're trying to rip free stuff away from you? Or they treat you with more respect? Like, you check the level of respect that's going on. And then you sort of like want to report that to the government and just keep bouncing around, keep cycling around. Actually, like this. The government or just the TikTok community and seeing how people react. But it's not, I mean, how many views you get at least. That's a good indicator. What people type in the comments is not really good indicator unless you really understand psychology. Because that shit can trigger the shit out of you. Yeah. So this would be testing, right? You can give things for free, but now you want to evolve into testing those things and testing, again, people's respect for free things. You know, are they scared of you? Well, what do they do? Like, it's actually a crazy way to test every society around the world that way. How they treat free things.
No mother actually means that, right? No mother actually wants you to be last in line. They all want you to be first in line.
I actually am one of those people that want to be last in line. Why? I don't want lines to exist in the first place. I think lines are fucking stupid. Anyways, let's open up a file for John Stossel. The Capitalism file. It's kind of like a torn episode, but not really. John Stossel exclusive. Capitalism and other isms. Here you go. I hate lines. I hate trying to compete for a spot in a line. If something is moving forward, then I was going to be the last one to take it, and I'll be able to take everything, basically, that's left over. You know, I'll prepare myself better. It's a little bit annoying, but, like, things slip through other people's fingers as well. Things you don't deserve slip out back into where it belongs. You know, people break up, people break marriages, for fuck's sake, 50% of the time. So I think I'm good. I think I'll just sit here back of the line when people are just disrespectfully throwing shit at me, and I'm not getting anything. All right, in terms of like dating, I get zero, you know, in my fucking experience, right? But I get to look at everything. I get to actually see what people do, you know. Being back of the line means you observe everything. Like, while the line is going, you literally just look at it from every direction. You just poke people around, treat them as NPCs. They're waiting for something, right? They're standing in the line, and you're just walking around them and making fun of them and just trashing the shit out of them because they deserve it. They got stuck in life. You know, they're asking something from life, and they're just patiently sitting there and waiting. NPC culture is the line culture. Waiting is gonna cripple you. I don't care what you get in the end of that waiting process. It's not as good as, you know, doing your own thing while you can do your own thing. I survived. Obviously, I'm struggling at being like the lost cause, basically, of everyone else trampling around. But like, I'm fine. You know, the line is gonna be removed. Like, you have to find a way where all the people have gotten what they wanted. You have to find that window of opportunity to feed yourself when there's no one waiting in line, but you can still like find this dude serving food and whatnot. Like that is the most fucking powerful move you can make in life. So whatever this guy said, fuck you, bro. Fuck you. I found a better principle. I'm not saying it's the best principle because you can create a line by going out of line and all of a sudden you can create chaos. But for me personally, like the hardest thing is to find that hidden opportunity to like move out of the way of other people trying to get something, because it's so uncomfortable. It's incredibly uncomfortable and wasteful of your energy. Standing in lines, oh my god.
In light.
Yeah, my biggest principle is avoid boredom by all costs. And lines are pretty dangerous to me. They're pretty dangerous. I still not gonna find lines anymore in my life, because like I don't even know where they are when you grow up. Right, because they shown a fucking school environment. And then like a competitive environment in a way. But competition is not lines. This is community that creates lines. Competition is exactly to step out of line and try your own thing whenever you feel like it. To like the train is moving forwards to some extent, but then it's just gonna bend backwards and return to its destination. You have to find a perfect opportunity to get out and move your own way. Because the things that are on top, the final destination is probably not yours, and you might not even find yourself getting out at the right position anyways. You might sleep through it. I'm talking about life itself and not some train bullshit. So there's a lot of interesting stuff going on.
And
again, the competition, the stacking, the pyramids, the triangle of hierarchy, that's capitalism invention, boys. There's a reason why everyone has an O and capitalism has a fucking A. Alright? And this is not Illuminati, but yes, Illuminati is made out of people who have made it. Who have beaten their competition, so they deserve this kind of symbolism. No cap, you know. Whatever that means. What does that mean? I don't want to know. You tell me if it's significant.
happiness.
It is very difficult to tell if capitalism actually enriched people's lives, because we can live richer lives and have more stuff, but it's very difficult to extract value out of stuff. Very difficult. You must understand that. And the more stuff you have, the more distracting it becomes. If you start sharing those things, then society allows you to understand what value your things have. But if you can just buy a fucking expensive painting for $5 million, it's not going to make you $5 million more happier now that you made this transaction finally. You have evaporated $5 million or given to someone else. Is it going to actually make you $5 million happier? Because happiness can be sort of measured by money. But I don't think so, bro. The reason why happiness can be measured by money is because you can surround yourself with happy people. You know, you can surround yourself with happiness. You can build a Disneyland for yourself and stand in the middle of it and just soak in the happiness that you have created because everyone is wealthy. This is kind of like how America exists, right? It is sucking up all the money from the rest of the world, borrowing basically, and everyone's seemingly happy. But if they lose their sense of history, if they forget their history, the history is gonna fucking eat them alive, bro. Because you don't just get free money on America. You get free money to be happy, to actually be happy, not complain about anything, and live a sort of like less constrained life. But I think America is now getting corrupted and it's kind of falling apart half and a half, bro. There's a lot of investigations to be made, and I can't do everything, guys, to satisfy your needs. But let's keep watching John Stossel covering things. What else do we click on? That was a good, you know, startup. See, it's really powerful, like, videos. Like, 7-minute video just triggered me into a 30-minute rant. I guess I didn't watch this thing. What I'm gonna do, I'm gonna watch the most watched from each out of 4. The most viewed videos. It's like the easiest thing to choose from around this. Oh, fuck. I'll try and avoid interviews because I don't have time again. Jesus Christ, so many interviews. I'll watch like 10 snacks, bro. Just to soak in a little bit more information. Alright, that should be it.
Is there a Democratic governor who actually stands up politics?
If I rant, like, John actually gets less points because I don't enjoy his content and I don't just sit back. I'm tired of, like, capitalism being praised, so I'm trying to, like, elevate other systems as well at the same time. And if John Stossel doesn't hit 120, which is probably gonna happen, he's probably gonna do it, but if he doesn't, he gets eliminated. Pretty terrifying stuff. Should have paid fucking $10 to not get eliminated, am I right? Where's your capitalism now?
Instructions were unintelligible. I need an EIN assistant, says the IR. What's an EIN assistant? Oh, an employee identification number. The government requires you
to sell lemonade, boys.
Take a 15-hour food protection class. Then I'd have to take an exam and wait weeks to see if I passed. Then I had to buy a government-approved fire extinguisher. I got my fire extinguisher.
Holy Jesus, what the fuck? Oh, this is so pathetic, bro. But at the same time, I mean, that's what you get for following the rules. The actual rule is just, like, run away from law enforcement to a proper location. But at some point, it's just disgusting. Or, like, the rule is just find a law enforcement person who is gonna enforce the law against lemonades and just, you know, put it on a bounty hunter list. So we spit on his fucking face. And if that becomes illegal, well, fuck the government then. We attack the government. For the lemonades. For, like, little fucking things like that, we can destroy the government. For little fucking shit like this. He can make fun of that, but I get really upset. Fucking... For the lemonade. The lemonade's mountain. Let me on, motherfucker. Technically, it's there. It's almost there. There has to be something more special than lemonade, though.
And the Family Research Council are still on the hate list.
There's no appeal. And I sure. We've determined that you're an organization that promotes hate, violence, harassment.
We determine, boys. I hate government sometimes. Also, hatred is not that big of a deal, alright? Violence is a pretty big deal. But you have to actually, like, if you determined violence, you have to trace back. Like, this is a really fucking big accusation. Promoting violence, even if I say, like, it has to, I have to, like, literally threaten people, you know, and ask people to do crazy things. You have to trace back to me as well as, like, a mafia boss just pointing a finger at my enemies and trying to fucking destroy their lives. And harassment is a weird word. It has ass in it. I don't know, man. I don't know what that means. Yeah, there's like a hate group map all of a sudden. Well, you sort of like have to disband if you get a spotlight like this. You have to reinvent yourself, basically. You have to keep moving around and keep reuniting with other group maps. You have to use the map more than the anti-haters, you know, are using it. So you have to, like, move things around so you cannot be spotted by people that easily. And you have to reinvent yourself often enough, unfortunately. If you're in a communism, you have to reinvent yourself. You have to redirect yourself as often as possible.
Spends most of its time.
And you know you're running a community if you can be labeled as a hate group in the first place. You know, like, as weird as it all seems and confusing, once you have the control of the elements and understanding of the elements, you understand, like, these are just labels, and you're not supposed to sit in a group that just promotes one thing and are known for one thing. If you're known for one thing, all of a sudden you're too predictable, basically, and you have to, like, switch to something else. Now, with Sniper Wolf, I don't think she's predictable now that she's sucking in. And if you don't follow Sniper Wolf drama, I'm sorry for that. You'll have to skip this part. But she's just doing react videos, right? But she's also a woman, so she has to look good while she's reacting. Now she's in drama. Now a lot of people are watching her, so everything she does is amplified 5 times in importance. You know, she doesn't even have to change it anymore. And she has the most subscribers. There's sometimes, if you like the biggest hate group, being put on the map and being put on the map the same size as everyone else, the government will just disappear from existence for a little bit. Because we have to, like, rearrange a few things and ask a few questions. You know, if you attack the biggest hate group, though, what the fuck is wrong with you, bro?
Actually explicit content in schools, anti-government extremism.
I mean, now they're establishing the biggest hate group I've ever seen, so we should, you know, we should just put it in. Oh, I found the biggest hate group that hates hate groups, you know? Just because you're anti-hate group doesn't mean that you're yourself not a hate group. I'm just saying, bro. Especially if you're silent, but you're capable of, like, using the government power to corrupt society and rile them up against you. It's some weird shit.
The hate group that beats up people on the right? The center's become a hate group itself. It's now a left-wing, money-grabbing slander machine.
Let's go. Shares the sentiments.
Dangerous, we can't allow you to speak.
That's right. Someone sent in a death threat.
Anybody who enters this event at this point is at risk.
We cannot give veto power to...
You gotta be reinventing yourself and understanding the vibe behind certain things and strategizing, or at least having someone to fucking translate what's going on and what's the best move to make when people approach you like this. Again, I could do a lot of jobs. No one even knows that I exist right now, so it's very tough. And I mean, I could send letters after letters. I don't know what job to do. What's the most efficient thing? I need some mentorship as well. But at the same time, like, I have to be passionate about doing that thing because it's gonna have consequences, you know? I'm scared of that the most, the consequences. I can be attracted to women all day long as long as the consequences, like, I get to be with them and I get to be happier. But defending political opinions in a way that's a little bit fucking strange when you can just spit it on YouTube's, and that's it. Attacking, like, people who sits in the conference, it's and throwing them threatening ideas, because anything can be threatening, even the truth can be threatening. But at the same time, if you're scared, you just leave. Just fucking leave. So that would be my advice of, like, well, if you're scared, guys, just leave. That's it. You leave, you know? could defend a community. Like, this is not a community. Just because you're sitting in the same room, you can't just call it a community. I don't know. So that was the moment. Just some random people gather to gain some information. Just leave if you feel threatened all the time. That's the only solution, bro. Run, leave, dodge the bullet.
I think we're better off if politicians butt out. Give power back to parents with school choice. Then parents can decide whether they want their kids to focus on the 1619 project or what Rufo prefers.
Link.
Yeah, so in order to actually fuel the capitalism, what capitalism requires, as you have heard, is brain cells, bro. Brain cells. Actual ability to think for yourself. Because you can't make good decisions with your money if you don't know where your money should fucking go. If you don't have any leadership sense. So you're just gonna waste your money. You're gonna waste your dollars. You're gonna decide terribly. Let parents decide. Well, it's not always the best decision, isn't it? They have to elect some kind of leaders. They can elect more leaders in the smaller communities, but they still have to elect leaders that would just spend their money anyways and collect money and all that shit and establish something, you know. But yeah, we should be able to have plenty of freedom of like establishing businesses, especially when it comes to education. Education should also somewhat be a business, but the problem is, the reason why education is not a business is because children are just there to be safe, you know, while their parents are working and they can't be homeschooled. The children have to be safe somewhere, right? So they just go to school. That's it. It's just for safety. There's nothing about school besides just being a little bit more social, but it's mostly about safety because it's under government's control, and that's the first and the only word you need to know about the government. They care about safety. First and foremost, you sit in your fucking chair and you don't move, and we're safe now, all right, in the school. But now that there are school shootings, now the government is actually being threatened of, like, schools are no longer as safe as they used to be. Like, how are you going to reinforce them to be safe? Now it's getting dangerous. Now the government holding schools is a hot topic, I would say. Can they still hold on to it? I think they can. I think they can just reinvent things. And schools have to change a little bit, but government is probably just going to control it anyways and not the money system. Again, you have to understand all the isms to be able to make the right decision. I'm just saying schools have been around for a long time. Established like a third level of society. Some weird shit. I don't know. It's a question mark where schools exist in general. But schools do look like also a socialism hub as well. This is where you get connected with other people. And I have, now that the school season has started, September basically, since September 1st, I can't stop dreaming about school. It's just the only thing that fucking pops into my brain. Because I know other people thinking about it too. Like, I'm interconnected and there's no escape. It's almost painful, but I have to like master what the school is about. And so mostly the valuable parts about school is socialism, that everyone is sort of forced into going there. But what's actually keeping everything together is the government. Because you will probably fall off, even as a child, you're going to fall off from being the top tier, innocent creature, right? And essentially just have to follow rules. And if you can't even do that, well, you got to go to a cheaper school. You know, all of a sudden people are being distributed in different tiers. If you learn how to be social in schools, like you're the highest tier person, you can talk to like teachers and not feel butthurt about anything that people do around you. You're not going to fall into their traps. You're going to have plenty of time to do a variety of things. Again, I wasn't really the highest tier child because I was kind of poor. But I can always change history, boys. You know, even if the cards fall out of my favor, the moment I checkmark something, I can go back into time and checkmark things as well. It's kind of like the super inverted pyramids. There's a tier above all the tiers is getting extra time to fix your past, you know. But this is somewhat what you do at tier 1 anyways, just fix yourself. So yeah, here it is, you know. I feel like I'm on top, but at the same time, I'm in a lot of pain right now because I'm not comfortable. Like, I'm actually in physical pain because of my back problems and my... something physically fucking wrong with me right now. We'll figure it out. I don't know. It's just somehow government controls the schools, or it feels that way. Feels that way. If you fall off favor, you're going to be homeschooled somehow, or you're just going to go to more local school that's going to run for less years or whatever, or going to be less demanding. Because in the big school, like, you have to have a uniform and all that shit. And what is that? Well, you still will have to wear a uniform, but you can take advantage of the school itself, because if you're thinking of it not as a grading system of like you have to get 10s, you have to spend your time wisely. So I was kind of on top of the pyramids that whole time. I don't think I did anything wrong. I even challenged the school to like let me go at 10th grade, you know, but they just kind of reeled me in with some social power of giving me free food. You know, that's pretty good. I'm like, I'll take free food. I'll stick around. You know, so that, yeah, I think things were going quite well for me. And I didn't get into trouble either. Besides, like, learning of body odor and stuff. Because that was tough, man. Those were some tough things to crack eventually. I'm still, like, trying to crack. How do you survive with body odor, bro? Because that makes things really awkward really fast. And it just makes things awkward for me for the rest of my life of like, what if people don't like my body odor? Well, I have to talk about it with them. What if I don't like them? Well, it just kind of shuts down everything and I can't do nothing. And I'm not going to apply deodorant, my friends. Fuck that shit. And I'm not going to be more hygienic. I will try, though. If I am uncomfortable with something, I will try. But to actually, like, master your body in unnatural ways, I don't know how to do that. You gotta tell me, at least. Anyways, that was the biggest ick of society in general, of them attacking body odor. If someone has body odor, they're winning, bro. They're winning. You gotta keep your fucking distance. If someone's farting, they're sort of winning, but not really. They were able to actually move away from the room and fart somewhere else. So it's a questionable. If they're shitting their pants, they're not winning. You could have went to the fucking toilet, you know. But body odor is just something you can't possibly control. Even if you think you can, you're stupid. You're just stupid if you think you can. If you can put body odor somewhere else, you know, it's just a completely different thing. Even like washing clothes and all that shit is also just like not really my responsibility. These things can be done somehow else, you know, like we could have school uniforms and stuff left in school and cleaned at school. You know, we don't even have to own them if uniforms are required. But there's some, you know, misaligned things that are just kind of like fresh and not established properly. Because, like, what about the locker rooms? What if people gonna peek when you're changing clothes and stuff? Well, fuck yeah. That's how society works. We allow bad things to happen so we can figure out who the fuck creeps are and we can kick them out of schools.
Dominates America.
If you don't believe in systemic racism and how it negatively impacts our students of color and don't want to help dismantle those systems, please don't teach.
If you're not having fun, please don't teach. Or don't even speak on TikTok, especially. Or just go fuck yourself until you're much happier and don't look like a hateful little shit that doesn't have anything to teach anyways. And again, teachers are not the top of the leaderboard. They just keep things in order, you know. They're just like wardens for this whole section of class to move around and do something. And yes, if you're not getting good grades, you might get like negative attention, but you have to be able to deal with that. You must understand the top of the everything, especially in school. It's very obvious to see that society is on top of everything. But once you graduate, the world opens up for you, and all these things kind of, like the Dragon Balls, they split around, and they move around all over the place. You know, you're not but these Dragon Balls, bro, but there's like 10 of them. Bruh, what's wrong? 10 Dragon Balls? I guess the last one is like 4-star Dragon Ball. So you also have to collect the 4 stars. Yeah, that's cool. That's cool. The ultimate dragon. Yeah, we figured out we're unlocking so many concepts so quickly.
Worst environment.
Again, they don't know what socialism is when they say it. A definition of a matrix of socialism and socialism utopia. You gotta fucking show it to me, bro. You gotta show me every single detail of how it works. But at the same time, you literally can't disconnect socialism from the rest of the world of the elements. I could show all these things, how they are seemingly utopias in their own little fucking bubble, but all of a sudden how they can be corrupted. I could just do all these weird things, you know. Being the master of 4 elements, man, I feel pretty proud of myself. But I'll just do it slowly and painfully because no one is funding me, no one is giving me happiness for free. I have to take it myself. It's unfortunate. I just watched some TikTok, and funny thing about TikTok is like everyone's flexing their like little fucking traits that they have. But again, in order to test your traits, you gotta go to workforce and actually do something useful for society. And then we judge you in that category. I don't think my YouTube channel is gonna, you know, be damaged by judgment, I guess. I took the wrong card, basically. Ugh, I got hit by that one, but normally, like, I'm just bulletproof, titanium. You just can't crush my YouTube channel in any way. You can't judge it in any way because I do everything, bro. Literally everything. Except getting views, which is also a part of the fucking process of, like, of being bulletproof. It's just not allowing anyone to actually even touch it or comprehend it. No one can fucking do it. The only question is, like, what am I actually worth? What is the money amount that I'm worth? That's the real question, if I'm holding diamonds in this safe or not. But to open it, I'll just open it myself with YouTube Rewinds. I'll just see, I'll just get judged. For one day only, you get to look into my museum of things. I'll give for this insight a trip for John. 10 points. For free. 2,000.
What's wrong about what's green?
We tried socialism, so we ran the experiment. It was a catastrophe. Worst environment.
That's a retardation speech. Socialism is not an experiment. Socialism is not a system to be experimented. It's just like, it is what it is. You don't have to test it. Except, like, we already have societies. We already have countries. The only test you need to do is if they respect your boundaries, if they actually are social countries. That's it. And you're not even going to find socialism that easily just by labeling something as socialistic of, like, Soviet Union. Oh, that's socialism right there. What? If a country invades other countries and tries to take over and unite them into one big fucking pile of shit, that's not socialism. All right? It's just a promised socialism to make Russia look fluffier and stuff. You know, it's not a trial of socialism. Again, to find a country, just figure out what is the most social place where you don't get attacked and harassed in the streets. But you also don't get ignored.
2 minutes of thinking to figure, wait a minute, who's going to eat all the bugs?
Without the birds, insects multiplied and destroyed more crops than the sparrows had.
People starved as a consequence of that. People confuse socialism with just
backfiring. Now that was an experiment for real. Well, killing sparrows will save our crops. Nope.
Property.
John might have hit 120. I want him to hit 200, or I will eliminate him.
And capitalism. And the consequence is they want to maximize that.
That protects the environment. Also, capitalism.
Yeah, but for themselves. It's private property, though. It's weird. How do you, like, leech off that private property, though? At some point, like, it's gonna get shut down slowly and actually cause inflation sometimes, or disruption. Monopolies can be established and cause this sort of disruption. There's you know, private property is not some fucking saint little thing where everyone's just maximizing because they're doing it for themselves, unfortunately. He says capitalism works better when protecting the environment, but in order for capitalism to work, we have to respect property in general. You know, that's not like naturally capitalistic thing to respect property, but like we just kind of do, and that's a socialistic protection to the capitalism. If we didn't respect property, we just destroy it. You know, we would just destroy your sense of ownership. And, well, would that destroy the environment? Well, kind of. But that's the whole point. We have society that have learned rules of respecting private property for a moment right now, currently. But we're probably not going to do that in such an extent, such an extreme extent.
I'm old. In fact, I'm very old, 76. I rarely think about being 76. Heck, I play beach volleyball. That's me. I ride.
That's him kicking ass, bro.
Hey, how old I am?
That's so funny. Like, it's actually the socialism that makes him forget how old he is. That is really powerful.
I should go to.
Yeah, you have, like, the money system here. It's so difficult. I guess I'll just do gold, bro. But here you have the socialism system, or self-esteem system. Anything you believe in is kind of true as long as you can play the role. Just like I'm playing the role of YouTube CEO, bro. This is why I can hold the crown. It's all about that, play the role parts properly. And feel good about it. And if I don't feel good about it, well, someone has to take the crown, first of all. I will still keep the crown, though. Doesn't matter. People have to outcompete me. But yeah, that's socialism. It's just social roles. The government has strictly just, like, power over people. Right? So, like, weapons. And community has numbers, bro. And I don't know what represents numbers, so I'm just gonna give a 1. I like number 9, though. It's like the largest digit, right? 9. Alright, we established a little bit of a matrix here. I'll take a snapshot. See, the funny thing is, you should be scared of drugs. You should be scared of vaccines because that's how they work. You know, you must not get addicted into just fixing the problem by just taking some pills and just swallowing that. It has to be scary for it to work. So you don't want to use the drug, but you also don't want to deal with the illness. You know, you have to like pull the strings in both directions to fight against the illness. It's kind of crazy.
Government's involvement.
That's the whole point, right? That's the whole point of power, is to scare in both directions of like, you have to fight against illness, but of course, you can take our weapon into the face, you know, but it's all about just pressuring you to condense your energy, basically, to understand what's important. When you become ill, you have to like, you still have to work very intensely on holding on to things that are important to you. Same goes with my dead year, right, basically. When I have to face the government. But probably so much more than that. I'm like, shit, this song just hits very hard. Again, my brain gives me the songs that I have to listen to. It's like, do you have courage really? Then you should spend it on changing yourself and starting all over again. Potentially, you know. You might have to do that. Holy shit. It makes all the sense, like, to most YouTube channels, especially if they are motivated by money and capitalism. It's kind of interesting.
Cheat. Although there are some people who cheat, most people are very honest. Most people are very, very honest. They're afraid to cheat if they're filling out a federal form. It's not quite what you think. But
yeah, but we're afraid to not have money in our pockets as well. If you fake yourself as a farmer, you get $50,000, bro. Yeah, I'm not gonna be afraid to fill out some piece of paper, bro. What's actually happening is like Stossel is talking to bad actors, basically. That he's supposed to just laugh at them when they start spitting bullshit, but he's just kind of submissive to that idea. And the more interviews he's doing, he's actually weakening himself to encountering bad actors, even though he's like seeing all sides and all that shit. But he's not gonna like expose them properly. This is why I say toxic masculinity is a thing, because it literally makes men incapable of competing in this whole thing. Like Nigahiga has left. John is just like, you know, we're tearing him apart, and he's too boring. He's too old for this shit. Same goes with Jordan Peterson, that just turned into a meme instead. Like, the toxic masculinity just peaks out. Eric Dubay is lost in his little paradigm. Mark Passio is definitely lost, but they can hang on, you know. Hoxa literally can be translated into Toxa, bro. Let's go. And like recent music is like questionable. Recent uploads. And then you have Captain Sparkles. The only thing, like, Mr. Who's the Boss doesn't seem that toxic, right? But technology is toxic. You know, what he's promoting is pretty toxic. So, it's incredibly difficult. Without a heart to operate in the world, it's insanely difficult to actually succeed. But we'll see, you know. Men are vulnerable, but they're very consistent. You can actually squeeze consistent value out of them. You're not going to be afraid of, like, they're going to do something weird or whatever in 3 months or whatever. That everything is going to change, that will stop uploading or some bullshit like that. And even if they stop uploading, like, Nigahiga has left ridiculous amount of effort already on the plate, you know. He left because he's done his job. Yeah, that's kind of a funny idea. People want socialism if they want even a higher power than the government itself. Like, if you become president, you become a social, you know, creature for real. Like, You literally have a crown that everyone sees. It's so fascinating to me. And yeah, it's like everyone would be like, oh, socialism is gonna solve everything. But you have to get to that level, though, to be illuminated. Like I am. I'm literally the gatekeeper of this shit that people want so badly. I want the sex, the fame. I want to have all these nice things and stuff. All these bling blings, and I don't want to do much work that's painful, and I don't want to do slavery. Well, welcome to socialism. We can fix things. But you have to learn how to fucking talk first. And even government people barely know that much. You know, they would be head-to-head against me, just of how you're supposed to talk. Like, if we elected, you know, Donald Trump, and he's, like, teaching people how to talk, and that's somehow, like, transformative. I don't know, man. It's weird. Weird, bro. But, I mean, to get to the president pool from the government is, like, only one person gets elected. It's that weird, like, truly. Otherwise, everyone who talks about politics, the biggest flag carriers get promotion. But the government people, not really, bro. And that's the pyramid. Communism doesn't even exist, by the way. That's why I have nothing to say about it. What community, though? Tell me, name me a community. Just name a community, all right? I'll wait. Because I don't know. I don't know community. You'll name me a community, you're just going to be wrong. Because it's more like a social group. But yeah, if people share a different language, if they like, yeah, if they speak a completely different language, it's a small community. Like I could say, my biggest community that I found is card game community, but then it turns into Hearthstone, and then it turns into Hearthstone is split into amongst, you know, a few smaller groups. But like, it's the biggest one that I found that I kind of enjoy. I mean, this whole thing is like reminiscence of a Hearthstone anyways. And that's why it's #1 on my influence list, because finding a community, it's almost impossible. Just because you like play the game or like enjoy Minecraft. Minecraft is so big that you're not going to find community that easily. You're going to find entertainment. But a community that follows every update of Minecraft and wants to like take advantage of it, that's a tough one, bro. That's really tough. And when it's so consistent, so yeah, Hearthstone did something really special. But it doesn't really exist like on a scale. Well, I mean, everything exists to some extent. It's just like I wouldn't be able to explain anything using card games. What are we going to talk about when I say card? I can only meme around a little bit. Yeah, it's just weird. We can talk about like language itself and definitions. Anyways, let's finish this off. It's kind of fancy. He got the 200. I'm happy with that. He's gonna stay. Oh, and of course you can treat as YouTube as community, but not really. Like we don't. Well, we will need like more communism or whatever. Like we need all these things. It's just like weird. Like because I just always refer to the clock, and it just doesn't have the number 2 in there. How do I treat this? Alright, well, we sort of have to be ready for any changes. But 2 doesn't even occur. Ever. Now we are escaping the part where things are going to change. YouTube is not going to change much anymore. So it's like, it's weird. 2 is not gonna even occur anytime soon, bro. However, there's always a smaller clock below all of this. This clock ticking way faster, and this contain number 2 often enough. And maybe right now it's gonna happen, you know, it's gonna hit the 2. In fact, it's supposed to, right? If we look into this, and TikTok was established here. Might as well fucking use it like that. Or rather, there you go. TikTok establishes here and proves that, yes, this is going to be a real deal. But we slowly, as passed through COVID, passed through the Russian nonsense, now we're entering a new phase entirely. All right. So this is probably number 1 into 4. Now we're entering the community section, where we need to like figure this shit out properly. And I'm sort of like activated as a human being, knowing that this is relevant right now. Very interesting stuff. My territory, welcome. And hopefully I get to do such a good job that I get rewarded for the rest of this period or whatever.
Down, hoping it would lead to widespread immunity, but cases are surging.
Cases were surging then, deaths too. But allowing people to develop immunity did pay off. Sweden ultimately did better than its neighbors. In fact, Sweden has had fewer excess pay off. Sweden.
Oh no, I'm red. My country's red, bro. That is bad. Next to like really shitty countries too. The safe haven. Again, if you don't show fear against against invisible forces, then you're fine. That's the whole point. And it's actually, it's the most real thing, is like the fear of invisible things. Like that's more than the invisible things themselves. Your fear to them is your reaction to it. You have to like somehow ignore it, somehow learn how to ignore it. And it's very difficult when everyone is in this panic mode. I mean, I wasn't educated to know how to counter this, but now I know.
Lockdowns worth it?
You are bending my arm backwards.
The average Australian lived 2 weeks longer because the country's strict rules limited COVID.
Fucking John Stossel, man. The John Cena of politics. I'm not gonna lie, bro. It hits hard. Yeah, but I mean, it's a deep, deep topic about fear and how fear destroys societies. But it is what it is, boys. I gotta say goodbye to John Cena, bro. With 3 S's in his name. Alright, see you guys next time. He passed the test, congratulations.